the Snyder Cut being released and coming out on HBO Max. Are you going to sign up for HBO Max? Are you going to sign up specifically to watch the Snyder Cut? And are you excited? Do you think it's a good idea that the Snyder Cut is being allowed to be finished? Or do you think they should have just left it at the theaters? You tell me, you be the judge, and let's move on to the next main topic. The next main topic is Timothy Olyphant will bear Boba Fett's iconic armor in The Mandalorian Season 2. Now, we're going to read this topic because this one to me is very interesting and fascinating. And I think this is going to build up very nicely in Season 2 for some epic showdown. So let's go ahead and just read this because I think the article is going to speak for itself very nicely, and I'll give you guys some resources in the description so you guys can also not only read this and check it out for yourself, but also learn who the characters being referenced here, Cobb Vanth and Boba Fett, and the histories thereof, so you guys can see that as well. So let's go ahead and read this. So it says, last week, I'll put the picture up here so you can see it. Last week, it was revealed that Justified and Deadwood star Timothy Olyphant had been cast in The Mandalorian Season 2 in an unknown role. Olyphant's casting is a story we have been chasing and trying to confirm for months now, and we didn't get to break the news, but we do have some juicy information to add regarding Olyphant's Mandalorian Season 2 role, which established Star Wars character Which established Star Wars universe character is Timothy Olyphant playing in the upcoming season? And why is he wearing Boba Fett's iconic armor? Here are the details. So let's go down here. I'm going to go ahead and pause that because that's distracting. It says this. Who is Cobb Vanth? Cobb like corn on the cob. And Vanth, I don't know what that is supposed to be similar to, but you can just read that for yourself. It says here, our sources have confirmed to us, and again, it's our sources, but this is a reputable site. So, take it with a slight grain of salt, but they're saying that they've been sitting on some knowledge and they have credible sources that are verifying this. So again, a little bit of a grain of salt, but at the same time, I think this lines up very, very nicely. So I'll explain why I think that's credible. Sources confirmed to us Olyphant filmed scenes wearing Boba Fett's Mandalorian armor for the upcoming second season of The Mandalorian. That might sound confusing because earlier this month it was reported that Temuera Morrison, who originated the role of Jango Fett, Boba Fett's clone father, had been cast as Boba Fett, which is true. It says, so what's going on here? If Temuera Morrison is playing the role of Boba Fett, then Timothy Olyphant is playing an enigmatic character named Cobb Vanth. Introduced in the Chuck Wendig's Aftermath book series, Vanth is the self-appointed sheriff to the Tatooine-based settlement Freetown. He wears a mysterious set of Mandalorian armor that was acquired from Jawas who scavenged the wreckage of Jabba the Hutt's sail barge shortly after the events of Return of the Jedi. By the way, The Mandalorian Season 1 takes place 5 years after Episode 6, which is when Jabba's sail barge went down in the sand dunes of Tatooine. So, and again, that's the same moment that Boba Fett was swallowed by the Sarlacc pit. So the Sarlacc pit, again, I don't know if you guys remember this. Critical note, Episode 6 sets up Boba's survival with a simple phrase, with a simple line. When they're about to toss Luke and all the good guys into the Sarlacc pit, Jabba is speaking and C-3PO is translating, and Jabba says, listen, he says, the Sarlacc pit is 1,000-year death, and it's basically you are getting digested for about 1,000 years. Now, no one's going to last 1,000 years on their own. You'll starve to death. You'll dehydrate before you get to that point for sure. But you're being burned alive by acid slowly, slow digestion. It's almost like the tales and the lore of, for instance, the historical document of Jonah being swallowed by the great fish, or most people believe it to be a whale, but the text says fish. Basically, Jonah being swallowed by that is where they get the idea for the Sarlacc pit. It's just someone being swallowed alive by a creature, and the death is not by being chewed up, it's by slowly being digested over time. You'll likely just die on your own of starvation. And so that's kind of what they allude to by saying it's a 1,000-year death. 1,000-year death. And that's all you really need to know. So when Boba Fett falls into the pit, there's other books that suggest that Boba Fett did get out alive. I think it was thermal detonators. Once he fell into the Sarlacc pit, he used thermal detonators to blow it up from the inside. And then I think he used blades to climb out or something. He somehow got out of the pit. And after that point, the armor was severely damaged by acid from the stomach acid. I'm not sure how because I didn't read the book series, but I believe either he had to abandon certain armor or it was compromised armor. But the Jawas found some of Boba Fett's armor in this book. In the Aftermath book series, they found his armor and they ended up selling it to a guy, Cobb Vanth, who made himself the self-appointed sheriff in a town called Freetown on Tatooine, which again, same planet, same sand dunes as where Jabba's barge went down, the Sarlacc was, where Boba Fett was swallowed. All of that happens on Tatooine. All of that happens in what we believe to be the same general area. Probably within a day's trek. I would imagine. Obviously, there's no specific map for that, but I'm imagining it's probably that close. Even if it's not, even if it was on the opposite side of Tatooine, it's still on Tatooine, and there's a reason for that. Episode 5, and then it gets here into this. I'll just go ahead and read it because I think the thought process written down is so much smoother than my own ramblings. So I'll spare you guys that part of my thought process. So it says here, as you may recall, that was the site of the battle where Boba Fett was thrown into the Sarlacc pit in the Tatooine's Dune Sea. It's assumed that the Mandalorian armor was purchased by Vanth is none other than the infamous green armor formerly worn by the galaxy's most notorious bounty hunter, Boba Fett. And so I think what's going to happen, long story short, I think Cobb Vanth is actually going to be wearing the armor of Boba Fett, and Temuera Morrison is Boba Fett, but he just doesn't have that armor. He might have new armor. He might have crafted new armor, or he might be going simply as himself, as Temuera Morrison. Would be really cool. I hope that they get into a skirmish or a fight or a shootout, and then Boba Fett has to take back his armor. But this is interesting, so let's go ahead and just take a look down here. Very little has been revealed about Vanth's backstory, only that he was once a slave, as evidenced by a star-shaped scar carved into his back signifying ownership. With the fall of the gangster Jabba the Hutt, a power vacuum has consumed Tatooine. Makes sense. Drawing all sorts of crime syndicates to take over the unruled landscape, Cobb has committed his life in the service of protecting Freetown and keeping criminal elements like the Red Key Raiders away from Tatooine. He even struck a deal with the Tusken Raiders to help protect the township. It should be noted that all of the above character details were revealed during the Aftermath book series. We don't know what part or what he plays. I'm sorry. Let's just skip that first. Those two words right here. We don't know what part he plays in the upcoming season of The Mandalorian, but I think the books offer a rad setup for the character. And the Aftermath series gave the impression that while Boba Fett may be dead, the iconic armor would live on for another generation. But if Fett himself was still alive and present in The Mandalorian Season 2, this complicates things. And we know that Boba Fett will, in fact, be in The Mandalorian Season 2 because on IMDb, it's already confirmed that Temuera Morrison is back, has already shot scenes, and has played Boba Fett. We don't know who almost said Cobb Vanth. We don't know who Timothy Olyphant is playing for sure, but we do have reports from these sources that he shot scenes in the Mando armor of Boba Fett. And if he was in Boba Fett's armor, there is a very reliable character from the Aftermath series that had that same story where he took armor that was presumed to be Boba Fett's armor. So I think we're going to likely see Boba Fett show up but it not be Boba Fett. And then we're going to find the real Boba Fett without his armor or in a new set of armor coming in and either making his appearance or making that final stand or being like, you stole my identity kind of thing. You know, I'm the real Boba Fett. There's only room or there's not enough room in how does that phrase go? I keep forgetting. This town ain't big enough for the two of us. You know, that kind of thing. So I think that'll be pretty cool. Plus, it adds to the Western feel to have the sheriff and the criminal lowlife fight, and then there's moral ambiguity between the two. You don't even know if the sheriff's in the right on this one because he's got the armor of one of the most deadly, mercenaries in the galaxy, one of the most deadly bounty hunters in the galaxy. So that's going to be a really, really cool showdown. I do think this is credible. It makes total sense. And then this is where it gets into the scene from episode 5. And when I say episode 5, I don't mean Empire Strikes Back. I mean episode 5 of Mandalorian season 1. Episode 5, Mandalorian season 1. It says, who was the mysterious gunslinger? In the Mandalorian season 1, the episode titled The Gunslinger, a mysterious figure was teased, sporting the bounty hunter's trademark spurs. In that episode, the Mandalorian agrees to help a young bounty hunter named Toro Calican acquire a target on the desert planet of Tatooine. Their search for the assassin Fennec Shand Ming-Na Wen takes them across the Dune Sea. Oh, pardon me. I'm not going to highlight this because it's messing with my cursor. So let's just go ahead and keep doing this part. They need to cross the Dune Sea, which is home of the Sarlacc pit seen here. That was thought to have killed Boba Fett. Calican takes out Shand and tries to double-cross the Mandalorian, leading to his own death. In the final moments of the episode, we see a mysterious character approaching the seemingly lifeless body of Fennec Shand. Hold on, my thing keeps jumping around. Where did I go? We can see and hear the bounty hunter's trademark spurs and cape hangs down, reminiscent of the one Fett may have worn. Is that character Boba Fett or is it Cobb Vanth? I think this is a brilliant tease. So I'm just going to stop reading this article at this point. If you want to finish it, go ahead and either read it here while I'm talking, or you can read it linked in the description below. But basically it's the perfect setup. You see that someone approaches the lifeless or seemingly lifeless body of Fennec Shand at the end of the episode called The Gunslinger. And the Gunslinger is a very Western name. It does tend to reference, like either a criminal, a rogue, a cowboy or something, a lone wolf, or even the sheriff himself. And in Western characters, Western storytelling, it makes a lot of sense because it also adds that element of mystery when they finally reveal the armor of Boba Fett and then he takes the helmet off and it's totally not Boba Fett. That's also a really fun plot twist. We might see Boba Fett, the armor of Boba Fett, doing some fights, tracking people down, behaving like a sheriff, and then at the end of it all, he takes the helmet off, kicks up his boots, and you see that it's Timothy Olyphant instead of Temuera Morrison. That would be a really interesting way to play that out because it would be him in the armor. So to me, I'm really excited. I do think that this is credible. Let me know what you guys have to say about this. I won't linger on this too much more, but I will wait for your thoughts. So anyways, thank you guys so much. Let's go to the next topic of the day. And the next topic of the day is... Oh, wait, actually, I'm sorry. I wanted to show you really quick. Michael Biehn and Timothy Olyphant are two of the people right now that do not have credits as official released character titles so far. Like, we do see Temuera Morrison right here is Boba Fett, and we do see Rosario Dawson is Ahsoka Tano. We do see Katie Sackhoff is Bo-Katan Kryze, but we do not see anything for Timothy Olyphant or Michael Biehn. I think Michael Bihn's possibly rare. Might not happen. Probably not. Actually, I won't say probably because I do believe it would happen. I think he's going to play Cad Bane, and I do think that Timothy Olyphant will probably be playing Cobb Vanth. Would be super, super cool. So that's almost all I have to say for you. The article pretty much summed it up, but I put the fandom wiki in the description below, so you can check out Cobb Vanth's page as well and acquiring the Mandalorian armor so that you can verify that for yourself. All right, next topic is Batwoman star Ruby Rose exits the CW series. This is a really weird moment for CW, I think, because I think they've written themselves, they've promoted themselves into a corner of